For more than 200 years, Rome dominated the known world. It controlled trade routes, crushed rival armies, and shaped culture across 3 continents. But Rome also believed that its power was permanent. It believed no one could replace it. That confidence turned into arrogance. Arrogance became instability. Instability became collapse. Today, many historians argue that the United States is experiencing the same patterns that pushed Rome from global dominance to slow decline. This is not conspiracy or emotion. These are documented events, supported by numbers, dates, and historical records. And when you compare those records with modern American data, the similarities become almost impossible to ignore. In this video, you will see the exact factors that ended Rome, and the exact factors that are developing inside America right now. Military overextension, wealth concentration, political division, currency pressure, migration stress, infrastructure decay, declining birth rates, global rivals rising. Every category Rome lost control of is now measurable inside the United States. The question is not whether these parallels exist. The question is whether America can avoid the final stage that Rome failed to stop. Let us start with the first and most important factor. Today, the United States maintains more than 750 overseas military bases across at least 80 countries. According to the Department of Defense budget, the U.S. spent more than $877 billion on the military in 2022. This is more than the next 9 countries combined. The United States has active duty personnel of about 1.3 million and reserve forces of about 800,000. Just like Rome, the cost is growing faster than the revenue. In 2023, interest on U.S. debt reached $659 billion, and military spending continues to rise. Rome expanded its military until it reached financial breaking point. America is approaching a similar pattern where global obligations exceed national capacity. During the late Republic period, Rome entered a cycle of internal conflict. Starting around 133 BCE, with the murder of Tiberius Gracchus, political violence increased. In 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was assassinated by senators who feared that Rome was becoming authoritarian. Instead of protecting the Republic, the assassination triggered civil wars. From 44 BCE to 27 BCE, Rome fought internal battles that weakened institutions and collapsed public trust. When the dust settled, Augustus became emperor and the Republic ended. Modern America is experiencing extreme political polarization. Research from the Pew Center shows that political division reached a 40-year high in 2021. The events of January 6, 2021 showed that political anger can turn into real violence. Trust in Congress is at a historic low. In Rome, political collapse began when leaders stopped cooperating and began treating rivals as enemies. The United States is following a similar trend where compromise is rare, media divide citizens, and institutions lose public confidence. Rome fell because it became 2 nations inside one border. America is showing the same fracture lines in real time. As Rome expanded, wealth became concentrated in the hands of a small elite called the senatorial and equestrian classes. By the 1st century CE, the top 1% controlled more than 16% of total wealth. Large estates called latifundia replaced small farms. Land ownership collapsed. Unemployment grew. This forced the government to supply free grain to millions of people in the city of Rome. The famous phrase, bread and circuses, came from this period. It described a population that depended on state welfare and entertainment instead of economic opportunity. Today, the United States has the highest wealth inequality among developed countries. According to the Federal Reserve, the top 1% of Americans control more than 31% of national wealth. This is almost double the concentration Rome had before its decline. The middle class continues to shrink. Real wages for many Americans have been stagnant since the late 1970s. Cost of housing and healthcare has risen faster than income. Rome weakened when economic opportunity collapsed for average citizens. America is approaching the same pressure point. Roman coins were originally made from almost pure silver. But as military costs increased, emperors reduced the silver content in the denarius. By 200 CE, the silver content had dropped from 95% to about 50%. By 270 CE, it fell to less than 5%. This caused inflation, rising prices, and loss of trust in Roman currency. People began saving gold instead of spending coins. The government lost revenue, businesses declined, and the empire weakened financially. The United States dollar is the world's reserve currency, but it is also under pressure. U.S. national debt passed $34 trillion in 2024 and continues rising. Interest payments now consume a large part of the federal budget. The purchasing power of the dollar has fallen steadily since 1970. From 2000 to 2024, the dollar lost more than 40% of its buying power due to inflation. Like Rome, America spends more than it earns and fills the gap with debt. Rome collapsed when its currency lost trust. The dollar is not collapsing today, but the long-term direction shows similar stress. One of the final stages of Roman decline came from unmanaged migration. From the 3rd to the 5th century, Rome faced continuous pressure from Gothic, Germanic, and other tribes entering Roman territory. Rome attempted to absorb them, but the number was too large. By 376 CE, the Goths crossed the Danube seeking asylum. Mismanagement and corruption caused conflict. In 378 CE, the Goths defeated the Romans at the Battle of Adrianople, killing Emperor Valens. By 410 CE, the Visigoths entered Rome itself and sacked the city. Migration became a tipping point that triggered final collapse. The United States faces significant immigration pressure at the southern border. In 2022, more than 2.3 million crossings were recorded. Border states struggle with resources. Cities face rising costs. Federal and state policies conflict with each other. Rome collapsed because it could not manage the scale of migration. America is not in the same situation, but the pattern of pressure is similar. If infrastructure and policy do not adapt, historical parallels become more accurate. Rome is famous for roads and aqueducts, but maintaining them became difficult in the later empire. As taxes collapsed and corruption increased, road systems declined. Aqueducts broke down. Public buildings were abandoned. A society that had once built wonders like the Pont du Gard began to lose the capacity to maintain even basic structures. By the 5th century, many Roman cities looked nothing like they did during the empire's peak. The American Society of Civil Engineers rated U.S. infrastructure AC- in 2021. Many bridges are more than 50 years old. Water systems in several cities are outdated. Rail systems lag behind other developed nations. Rome declined when it could no longer maintain its infrastructure. America faces similar long-term decay. When a global power fails to invest at home, decline accelerates. Roman birth rates fell sharply during the late empire. Wealthy families had fewer children. Plagues and war increased mortality. By the 3rd century, the population of Italy was shrinking. Rome relied increasingly on foreign recruits. Low birth rates weakened the economy, the army, and the future of the state. The United States birth rate dropped to 1.6 in 2023. Replacement level is 2.1. Falling birth rates mean fewer workers, fewer taxpayers, and more pressure on social services. Rome faced the same demographic decline. It slowed innovation, weakened the army, and destabilized society. America now faces a similar demographic direction. As Rome expanded, culture became more fragmented. Early Roman society was built on discipline, civic duty, and collective identity. By the 2nd and 3rd centuries, this unity weakened. Luxury imports rose. Moral standards changed. Public service lost prestige. Citizens focused more on entertainment and personal comfort. Roman writers like Tacitus and Juvenal recorded the decline in public virtue. After 200 CE, corruption, bribery, and self-interest became normal inside the Senate and the imperial court. This damaged unity and made the empire vulnerable when external pressure increased. Modern America is experiencing a similar cultural split. Entertainment dominates national attention. Social trust continues to fall. Surveys from the University of Chicago show trust in neighbors dropped by more than 20% since 1972. Political tribes treat each other like enemies. Shared values decline. Rome weakened when internal cohesion broke down. The United States is not at that stage, but the pattern of cultural fragmentation is similar. When a population cannot agree on basic identity or direction, decline accelerates. Rome faced limited competition for centuries. But by the 3rd century, a new rival emerged. The Sassanid Empire of Persia challenged Roman power in the east. In 260 CE, Emperor Valerian was captured by the Persians, a shock that damaged Roman prestige. At the same time, Germanic confederations strengthened on the northern borders. Rome was surrounded by powers that could challenge its military, economy, and influence. The empire could no longer dominate global affairs alone. The United States became the world's leading power after 1945 and the only superpower after 1991. This period ended the moment China became a full economic competitor. China now produces more steel, more ships, and more manufactured goods than any nation in history. It built the Belt and Road Initiative with more than 150 participating countries. China passed the United States in purchasing power parity, GDP, in 2014. Russia, India, and Iran have formed new strategic partnerships. The world is no longer unipolar. Rome declined when new powers grew fast and challenged its dominance. America faces similar geopolitical pressure. Roman economic growth slowed sharply after the 2nd century. Expansion stopped, meaning no new gold or resources entered the empire. Heavy taxes and inflation damaged the middle class. Trade routes became less secure. Historical records show that between 250 and 300 CE, Rome experienced repeated recessions. With lower revenue, the government printed more coins with reduced silver. This created the inflation spiral that weakened the empire permanently. The United States saw strong growth from 1945 to 1970, but since the 2008 financial crisis, growth has been slower. Wage growth for average workers has stagnated for decades. Productivity increases more slowly than it did in the 20th century. The Congressional Budget Office projects declining growth and rising long-term debt. Rome collapsed when the economy could no longer support the system it created. America is not collapsing, but the structure of stagnation is similar. In the early empire, Rome had strict administrative systems. Over time, those systems decayed. Governors exploited provinces. Army commanders competed for political power. Bribery became common in the Senate. Tax collectors abused authority and kept part of the revenue. The Roman historian Ammianus Marcellinus wrote that officials enriched themselves while the state weakened. Corruption blocked reforms, and the government lost the ability to solve problems. The United States ranks lower on the Global Corruption Perception Index than several European countries. Lobbying dominates politics. Large corporations influence policy. Insider trading investigations appear repeatedly. Government officials frequently leave office and join private industry as consultants or executives. Public trust in government is near historic lows. Rome changed leaders often, but changed almost nothing about the structure of corruption. America faces the same trap. Problems are discussed, but rarely solved, because powerful interests resist reform. By the 4th century, Rome was no longer the economic engine it once was. Cities became crowded and unsafe. Crime increased. Public services collapsed. Many citizens moved to rural areas for safety and opportunity. The state struggled to maintain order. When the Visigoths entered Rome in 410 CE, they found a city weakened by decades of decay. Urban collapse was not the cause of decline, but a symptom of a collapsing system. Several American cities face rising homelessness, crime, and infrastructure problems. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland report increased social instability. Housing costs force middle-class families to leave urban centers. Public schools struggle with funding. Rome declined when its cities lost stability and population. America experiences similar stress in large urban areas. Decline does not start with war, it starts with local breakdown. Rome was not a scientific civilization like Greece, but early Rome supported engineering, architecture, and military technology. In the late empire, innovation slowed. Investment in new ideas declined. The empire focused on survival, not progress. After 250 CE, Roman engineering records show few major new inventions. A civilization that stops innovating loses competitive advantage. The United States remains one of the most innovative countries, but several signs show decline. Funding for research and development has slowed relative to GDP. Manufacturing capability moved overseas. NASA relies on private companies for launches. China graduates more engineers every year than the United States and Europe combined. Rome fell behind because it did not invest in the future. America risks repeating that pattern. Rome did not fall in a single moment. It weakened from within. Currency collapsed. Borders failed. Politicians fought each other. The economy shrank. Rivals grew. When the Visigoths entered Rome in 410 CE, the empire was already dying. The final blow came in 476 CE, when the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was removed. Rome collapsed because internal systems broke long before external enemies attacked. The United States is not Rome and is not collapsing today. But the pattern is clear. When superpowers decline, the early signs always appear internally. Debt rises. Politics divides. Trust falls. Institutions weaken. Global rivals grow. Rome ignored the warning signs and paid the price. The question for America is whether it can reverse the pattern before it becomes irreversible. The United States is still one of the most powerful nations in history. It has technology, military strength, global alliances, and unmatched cultural influence. But Rome also believed it was permanent. It believed no rival could rise. It believed internal problems could be ignored because the empire was too large to fail. History shows that no empire falls quickly. Decline begins with small fractures, and those fractures grow until the foundation can no longer support the weight. America has the advantage of knowing what happened to Rome. The data, numbers, and patterns are clear. The question is whether the United States can correct its course before history repeats itself. Rome gave the world a warning written in 2,000 years of records. The United States may be living inside the same story, only at a different chapter. The future depends on how it responds now.